As we've been saying recently, the tide is truly turning when it comes to the crazy extreme net zero measures. Everything from the ultra low emission zones, 15-minute neighborhoods, low traffic neighborhoods and everything else, and green taxes. People around the country are standing up, are speaking out against the establishment. And we have an example in this video. We have a video from Colchester, where a local resident in Colchester, Rachel Matthews, decided to speak out against the local authorities and the establishment, and the councillors were not too happy about it.
Good evening. I've been a supporter of green energy and a keen environmentalist since my 20s. My office is solar powered, so I was mortified to discover that a single lithium mine causes millions of tonnes of waste every year laced with sulfuric acid and radioactive uranium, polluting the water supply for 300 years, not to mention the unacceptable human costs with child labour to mine cobalt. When I researched which solar panel to purchase, I did not for 1 minute consider it would be made by people trapped in razor wire enclosed labour camps, being exposed to large quantities of quartz dust which causes silicosis. Please note that the Ethical Consumer Organisation report that it is hard to avoid forced labour in the solar panel supply chain. Wind turbines, which last about 20 years, consume a colossal amount of resources and energy to manufacture and install, not to mention the blight and bird kill. They require diesel engines to start them up and then gallons of oil to lubricate, and they can't readily be recycled. Solar panels are also extremely difficult to recycle, costing more than the production of the panel. And lithium batteries pose steep challenges too. Add to that the human suffering, which we've all unwittingly been part of just by owning a laptop or mobile phone, which is minimal compared to what's required for an EV or solar farm. These so-called green or ethical solutions aren't solutions at all. Just very good marketing from the $1.5 trillion a year climate change industry. That's $4 billion a day, by the way. None of us can undo what's already been done, but what we can all do is make sure this doesn't escalate exponentially with fleets of unnecessary EVs and acres of solar farms eating up our precious farmland.
Now, after her initial response, the councillors and some of the people in the local establishment decided to try their best to shut down the debate.
Finally, do Council agree that it is your obligation to always seek the best available knowledge, and that should it so transpire that any policy, howsoever well-intentioned, may subsequently prove harmful, and then the Council are obligated to stop? Sorry, I have finished. What was the interruption?
The second bell rang, which indicated that the allocated time available had expired, as explained when you came to the desk. There's a bell at 2 minutes and then there's another bell at 3 minutes.
Yes, and I had one sentence left to finish, and you let the last gentleman go on for about another 30 seconds after the bell. So it needs to be rules that apply to everybody, not just the ones that you don't like what they're saying.
Respectfully, I don't dislike what you're saying. This is the first time I have heard it. All I'm trying to ensure is that the meeting runs smoothly. That's all I'm seeking to do here.
Well, basically my last question is, does the Council agree that your obligation to always seek the best available knowledge, and that should it so transpire that any policy, howsoever well-intentioned, may subsequently prove harmful, then the Council is obligated to stop?
Yeah, and after this, they kicked off again and tried to shut her down.
At the moment, costs are currently way more than double, so I'm not sure that we can particularly add.
If you invest money in these substandard technologies, you will just increase them, whereas it would be better to hold out until the real green solutions do come on board, and we're not there yet.
Matthews, I appreciate that you have made your contribution, and thank you.
You get an extra minute to rebut.
No. Then my apologies. Please do respond. Can I ask the members of the public gallery to show respect to the board and everybody who's trying to do their best, ensure that a meeting is held that everybody can engage in with respect. Thank you.
I think they're being very respectful. As I was saying, unless you have really good solutions, you are investing money in things that ultimately you're going to waste money on. You'll just get EV points everywhere, and then the government will turn around and say, oh, no, they're no good. So you're going to waste money. You're investing in slavery, which is unacceptable. If it was your family members that had children that were being crushed to death down these mines, would this be your answer? It's too costly to find alternatives. especially when no one here can actually fully explain what the climate emergency is. By your own admission, the Council doesn't have an official definition of a climate emergency. So the Council's actions have sprung from a claim of emergency which no one here is able to define. If you cannot clearly define the emergency, how can anyone possibly know when it's over? Or moreover, look to impose rationally any policy response without knowing. The emergency needs to be properly defined and evidenced if you're to get the public on board with your associated proposals.
Now, everything she said was absolutely spot on throughout the whole thing, and this was why the local councillors completely kicked off about the whole situation, and they didn't know how to control the narrative.
I'd appreciate not to use any of my time to just point out, while you are voicing your opinion on respect, two of you were sitting having a conversation that I could hear whilst the previous speaking was talking. So if we could have a level playing field in terms of not two-tier systeming and expressing respect both ways, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. No heckling, please. Thank you.
Now, I think it's very important to report these local stories because they have a big impact on the national debate, on the national narrative. The mainstream media are not going to show you any of these clips, but we are going to be finding them on a regular basis to tell you guys the truth about how people in this country are finally rising up against the green establishment. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.